Welcome back to Against My Better Judgment, the podcast where two friends,
I'm Tamara Golden.
and I'm Danielle Whiteside, tell the truth, share the lessons, and laugh about the moments that we knew better but did it anyway. Each week we share real stories about the time that life surprised us, stretched us, or just straight up humbled us, and the lessons that we learned along the way.
And this season we're calling it That Time When. Today's episode is That Time When I Learned That Fat Was Not a Feeling.
What? Okay, before we get into that, how was your week?
Pretty light week. We're supposed to take a boat trip this week, but unfortunately one of my dear friends had some news about a death in the family. So kind of a bummer, but it allowed me to learn how to make a new cocktail, which is one of my other favorite things to do. So I invented a vodka breeze is what I'm calling it. And it has flavors of watermelon, flavors of like cranberry, very refreshing, like lemon. It's a very light. It kind of, when I mixed it and made it, it just made me think of just a cool breeze. So
I wonder why
You need some water? You want some vodka breeze?
Yeah. I'm wondering why you didn't offer me that when I came in the door.
What had happened was. That's what about you? What happened this weekend?
Well, it's been a good week at work. There was an announcement about one of my colleagues leaving. And so, I have just been reflecting on just transitions, and like I've been at my institution for 8 years now, and the table shifts every time a person leaves and a new person comes. It's a whole new team, even though, it's one person cycled out, but the whole team changes and the dynamics change. And so, when you're in these roles, you just kind of have to successfully weather the transitions. Change is always happening. So.
Yep. And, almost just reintroducing yourself, every single time. And it also makes you reflect on making sure you people are in certain places for seasons, and making sure that you take advantage and you do your part through that entire season, because it will shift. Yeah, it will shift.
But shout out to the person who's leaving. He knows who he is. He really was a very good colleague for me, and I just appreciate the friendship, the camaraderie, the collegiality, a lot of times when you work in legal, people find legal to be a stumbling block or a roadblock. They hate going to legal. I've tried to make my office be a place where people are feel welcome, and that we're a strategic and collaborative partner. Yep. But sometimes people still don't want to go to legal. But he would, no matter what, he would always come to me first, like, hey, I got this problem. Can you help me? And so we just really had a good rapport, a good run. So best wishes to him and his very bright future. And, we'll get another person, but they ain't gonna be to him.
That's fair. And the nice thing is, you don't need them to be
right. So they'll be who they are, and we'll work together. It'll be great.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Okay, but what is this? Fat is a feeling, or what?
Yeah, the time when I learned that fat was not a feeling. So we talked a lot about just anxiety and how anxiety manifests itself. And I have had probably at least the last 14 days, probably a little longer, I've been going through this process of just deep reflection. Some of it's real, some of it's not, but all of it's in my own head, and it is my reality, regardless of how it comes out. And so I reflected on the relationship. Like, food is kind of the first thing that I have to focus on if I get really, really stressed or really, really anxious.
What does food do for you?
It either punishes me. I either use it as punishment, or I use it as a distractor. So it made me think, like, okay, I'm going through this season right now. How does my food look? So I try to be conscious of, have I eaten first, or have I eaten a ton? Like, how that really works. And I thought about it, and I never really thought about it in this context, that even as a kid, if I found myself, I was really hard on myself. I just have that type of a personality. I've really been hard on myself. And so if I've had a really bad day or if I've really upset my parents or something, my punishment would be, some people would think it's a treat, but I'd go like, I could buy like a whole, like 2 things of cookies and just eat them all. Like that would be your punishment? My punishment to myself.
Wow.
And I'm just realizing this. Like, I just realized this like last week. Like, I was punishing myself then with food even. So I was thinking through, and I've had a huge battle with food my entire life. I mean, my weight
I never knew that
fluctuated.
about you.
It's one of those hidden things. My weight fluctuated a lot. I was always an athlete, but it didn't necessarily manifest itself as being overweight or anything like that. But I've always had ups. I've always struggled with weight, even though I was always active. Well, it came to a head in college. I had a very traumatic event that manifested itself into an eating disorder. And so my senior year in college, I was wrapping up my senior year, and I was still an athlete, a college athlete, and I was about to graduate. So it started about probably the summer after my senior year in college. And I was on my way to law school. And what I learned with anxiety is I just stopped eating. So I just, in my brain, I felt fat. And that's when something didn't work out for me, my punishment was, I feel fat today. Like, I feel fat. Like, no matter how I looked, I could look how I look right now today, and my brain told me that I felt fat. So the way that panned out is, the harder things got in law school, if it was time for a competition, it started out where I just wouldn't eat.
Did you look at, because I'm trying to figure out, is this body dysmorphia too, or is it just an unhealthy relationship to food?
I don't know. It's probably a little bit of both.
Like, body dysmorphia is kind of when you look at your body and you can never see anything positive about it. You're constantly, kind of talking down to yourself about your body.
Yeah. And I think it's probably a little bit of both. And as I become adult, I kind of like almost a sense of humor. Like, I can kind of put myself down. It's kind of funny. But even then, I found myself, it's probably a little bit of both. Like, if it was a big test or whatever it was, or if I didn't do well, like, it all started out as a form of punishment. Like, it started out of, I'm upset. I don't know what to do with these feelings, so I'm not going to eat. And so I went years like off of like 500-600 calories a day. And the sickness of it is, I didn't think anybody knew. I felt fat, but I didn't think anybody knew.
So who was watching?
So first off, I had classmates. Because again, I was in law school. And I remember one of my dear classmates, I was coming out of the restroom, and she looked at me. Her name's Reagan, and she's still a good friend of mine now. She was a career prosecutor until recently, 20 year. And she said, you can't continue to live like this. Like, wow. I remember where I was at law school, where I was standing. And I even remember what I had on when she said that to me. And then one of my dearest girlfriends, Lauren, she really lived with me through this. So I made it through law school, and even, so I made it through law school with this condition. At that time, it was anorexia. Okay. So I made it through law school, and I thought I could mentally get myself back on track. But I continued to feel fat as a feeling. So once I made it through passing the bar exam, I felt like I could breathe. I'm like, okay, I then saw like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to survive like this in my brain, but I couldn't get over the hurdle. I mean, I was like 115 pounds, but I could not get over the hurdle, and I'm 5'9".
What does 500 calories look like a day?
It looks like I forgot the name of these bars, but they're these little bars that I would eat, and maybe an egg, 2 eggs, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So I did that. I made it through. I was like, okay, I was feeling good about myself. I passed the bar exam. I had a job. So it was time, and I've always been an overachiever in my brain, you know. And so I was like, I was still feeling fat, and I was around people that knew that I was struggling, but also like they're like, oh, I remember when I was that little. Like, so I started seeing a therapist, and what got me with this therapist is she knew that I was significantly underweight, but she had an issue at some point in her life. But she wasn't really helping me. It turned into, she was sensationalizing it. So she was almost justifying in my brain what I was doing. So I continued to say, I feel fat, I feel fat, I feel fat. Yeah, I mean, it was incredible. So finally, I was in my first job, and my dear friend, it was Lauren Duncan, she's been married, Lauren Griffey, she came to my house, and we sat in my table at my first house, and she said, you're going to have to do something. And
do you know what caused her to say that, or like what she saw in you?
Well, so I left out so I flipped from being anorexic to a binge eater.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it was the most ridiculous thing. So I went from being anorexic to becoming a binge eater. So for those of you who don't understand the diseases, anorexic, and this is very much layman's terms, but I can say it because it really was my experience, for me was starvation. I didn't eat. Binge eating for me, for my experience, was like, I don't know, eating 12 hamburgers and 12 orders of fries in one sitting, and then throwing it all up.
In real life you did that?
Mm-hmm. In real life.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
Tamara, I did not know this.
Yeah, so I switched, and what brought it up to her is, and she did a pretty good job of, I think she was trying to tiptoe around it and be polite, and there just sometimes you just can't be polite, and she was like, look, my housekeeper was there, and she's gonna quit cleaning my house if she has to continue to clean the stuff around her toilet, because I was throwing up at her house. If I ate anything in her house, I was going to throw it up at her house, wherever I was, no matter whose house I was at. And so she came over one day and was like, you're gonna have to stop this.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, she's right. I'm gonna die. Do I want to die, or do I want to live, or do I want to continue to be just fat and feel fat? So I found a place in Georgia. I checked into the place. I told my job. Now, mind you, this is the part that I left out. That's right. I left off the timing of this. Is I had not learned. I was working as an attorney, but I hadn't learned that I passed the bar.
Oh, wow.
So I checked myself into this facility in Georgia. I learned that I passed the bar while I was there. Like, I called my office, and they're like, you passed. So I went to this facility. And the interesting thing about these facilities is everybody in there feels fat. Like, for the one I was in, this program, I was in an inpatient program, people feeling fat, but you learn tricks. Like, you learn stuff there that I didn't even know, to still harm myself because of the other people there. Everybody's so sick that they're trying to figure out ways to make it look like they've gained weight while they're there, but they really haven't. Like, yeah. So you really learn some really sick things while you're there. So there was an exercise. So I went into treatment for like a couple months, and I felt better, and I came back home, and I did pretty good maybe for a couple months, and then my condition started to go back to binge eating. I never went back to anorexia. Okay. It continued with binge eating. Well, I was like, okay, I knew my tools though. So I checked myself in again, the same place. I didn't tell anybody. Okay. This is over Christmas. Like, my parents don't know where I am. Finally, a couple days before Christmas, I'll call my parents and tell them where I am. So did you feel they were supportive? I think they were as supportive as I allowed them to be. Okay. Simple as that, because I didn't tell anybody. Except for one friend, one of my dear friends. At the time, I called her SDL. Her name is Stephanie Lee Steele now, but she showed up because I had a visitation, and she knew I was there. And she driven from Nashville to Georgia, and she showed up with a journal. And I wasn't expecting to see anybody. I was so mad at myself. I didn't feel like I deserved it, but it meant so much to me, and it really made me feel something. Like, it made me feel something differently. And I took that journal And I wrote this poem, if you will, to myself, just about what the disease is to me, what it meant. And it came out that fat was not a feeling. And when I went home after that stint of being inpatient, that's when life clicked for me. That's when I realized, like, okay, I have to have different coping mechanisms to deal with things. And so, in different ways to deal with anxiety. Like, anxiety looks totally different for me today than it did 20 years ago, right? And so I think a lot of people struggle with, I feel fat. And for me, that's a very morphed idea, because no, I felt sad. I felt hurt. I felt less than. I felt dumb. I felt stupid. All those hateful things, that's how I felt. But I was making it fat.
Yeah.
And so it was just that realization that fat is just truly not a feeling.
That's so interesting. I think were you avoiding your feelings by naming it fat? Were you avoiding feeling what you actually felt?
Absolutely, because the food, either it distracted me or it punished me, because I used it when it became binge eating, particularly for me, was definitely a punishment. It was a punishment. But I will tell you, in that process, it's a very humbling process of treatment, because you have people, you feel various ways about addicts, whatever their addiction may be.
Yeah.
But for me, it is very true that I became so desperate that I had to do something, to where when I came back, that second treatment, I found what they call a sponsor, and I went to Alcohol Anonymous meetings, and I just put in, everywhere they said alcohol, I put in overeating.
Yeah.
And then I found a few Overeaters Anonymous things, but I felt that gave me it gave me more anxiety. For me, it made me sensationalize the behavior.
Yeah.
So I stuck with Alcohol Anonymous meetings and their 12 steps. I actually did their 12 steps and plugged in overeating.
Wow.
Because alcohol was never my thing. My thing was anything that I could obsess about that hurt me. And at that moment, it could be anything, but at that moment it was food.
Yeah.
So,
man, thank you for sharing that.
absolutely. Absolutely.
I think what I'm hearing is that you can name the feeling. Don't try to replace the feeling with something else.
Exactly.
And when you name the feeling, you can deal with, like, what's the underlying issue, and then not reach to something else. Because, I mean, you could replace food with anything.
Yeah.
That's, too much of something is a bad thing.
Yep.
But if you really figure out, like, what is that underlying thing underneath it, then you can address that and move on.
Yeah. And it was trauma from college. Like, you're talking, trauma that.
What made you reach to food? Because I think I'm hearing you, it wasn't just trauma from college. It started as a child.
It did. It's odd. I don't know what made me reach to food, because
back then.
No clue. Because there was a point to where my obsession with, I learned I can obsess on anything. So I have to be really careful. So it became, for a while, it was an obsession with, I fixed everything with food, but I was obsessing with working out. Like, I would have these sick workout, like I'd run, like I was a marathoner. So I started obsessing. You ever read Goggins, You Can't Hurt Me? Have you ever read that book? Okay. But anyway, I don't know why it was food, but I didn't learn until like this week that it stemmed back to childhood. That was a realization to me. So
probably some deeper to go.
Yeah. So I have to be really careful when it comes to my feelings and have I eaten today? If I've eaten today, what have I eaten? And if I'm doing something that's out of balance, then why? And figuring out a way, if I'm getting into a pattern, getting out of it. Yeah.
Well, if you ever find yourself back into that space, will you tell me?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I do think I'm there. And I think I'm so far, you never want to be arrogant to say you've conquered something. Because I will say, over the past 2 weeks, that's the first time that I ever thought about misusing food. I haven't thought about it in decades, like with the S. Like, it hadn't crossed my mind until the last couple weeks.
Okay, we need to check in.
So
I'm here for you, girl.
Oh yeah, you
Okay.
are. You are. So yeah, that's learning that fat is not a feeling and recognizing what those feelings are.
Yeah, I hope that really hit someone else who kind of is struggling with something else, or feeling fat, or feelings of inferiority or stress or anxiety, that you'll reach for the feeling, name it, and try to find something to help you through that feeling instead of reaching for something to replace you actually doing the work to feel better.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Thank you for sharing
Don't get off, because I know you saw my empty refrigerator. I'm not struggling.
Okay, because I'm like, it wasn't nothing in there.
Oh my God. So let's get to after that, let's pick us up a little bit with my favorite segment, which is Against My Better Judgment. So take it away.
Yeah, so against my better judgment, I threaded my eyebrows consistently.
Wait. First off, for those who don't know, you're going to have to explain what threading is. Second off, once you explain it, my next question is, you literally threaded them yourself?
No. So threading is a technique where instead of like either plucking your eyebrows with tweezers or waxing your eyebrows,
don't forget that razor,
you take a thread and pull the hairs out from the root. Now, I'm not able to do that. But I originally was introduced to threading after I visited a friend of mine in Atlanta some years ago, and she was like, oh, you should go with me. So we did, and I got my eyebrows cleaned up, and I was like, oh, this is nice, because it really is effective. Like, it, the hair doesn't grow back that quickly.
Can I like, this is threading. This is what threading looks like. I got my eyebrows were threaded yesterday.
Oh yeah, they look, and
they will look like this for about 9 days, and then on day 10 it's like you would think it was a monsoon of rain, and all of a sudden they grow. Like, they go from this to I'll be sure unibrow on day 10.
Well, let me tell you something. The more I did it, the less mine came back.
Were they taking away too much? Like, making them too thin?
I don't know what was happening, but when I tell you my brows decided they were leaving and they was never coming back, them suckers never came back.
You've got to be kidding me.
So
what are we looking at here?
We're looking at a brow gel and brow pencil. And I actually asked you for a tissue because I'm gonna wipe them off so you can see.
You did well, wait a minute, because I will say I'd see hair. So this is impressive.
It's a little hair there, but like, I'm looking at your brows and you have hair there.
Like, well, let's be real clear. I got a lot of traits from my dad. I got flat feet from my daddy. I got gray hair from my daddy. He has a birthmark that's gray. And I got these eyebrows straight up my dad. My mom, I've never seen an eyebrow.
You a gift.
Okay. I've never seen an eyebrow on my mom's face in my entire life.
Because I have what I call browlopecia. Not alopecia, browlopecia.
That's so wrong, I think. But anyway, so you're wiping off some gel. Tell us how you get it on before you wipe it off.
Okay, so now I've done it so much, like, I have to do this every single day. Otherwise, I look like what they call a naked mole rat.
Oh.
Google it.
That's kind of sad.
So I now know the shape that it should be. So I take a little, I start out with some brow gel and I, fluff them up, because, there's enough that can catch the brow gel. It darkens them up and then it kind of keeps them in place. And then I take a pencil and make it the right shape.
God, I thought you had those, I thought you had tattoos.
No, like microblading.
I thought that was microblading.
That's a good point to start. So I, one time, again, going back to Atlanta, because in Nashville, at the time that I did microblading, there weren't a lot of people who did microblading here in Nashville. Okay. And there weren't a lot of people who did microblading for black skin, because there is a difference,
Okay.
The shading, the color of the brow is different from on white skin. So, Atlanta got all the black people, so they also have people who know how to do microblading. So I went there, and at the time, this was kind of a new-ish procedure, and so it was expensive.
Yeah.
And so it was a 2-step process. You had to go between, you had to do the first round, and I think you had to wait like 4 to 6 weeks before you could do the second round.
That's still the case, I hear.
Yeah. Well, guess what happened between the first time? The first time I did it,
I already know.
it was great. My brows were popping. I was like, oh, this is wonderful. Then you have to wait, let them heal up, and then you go back for round 2. Guess what happened between round 2?
You got pregnant.
I sure did.
Oh my gosh. Anybody with 3 kids, that's always the answer. It's going to be a pretty good guess.
I got pregnant, and so then you can't go back. And because you can't do the procedure while you're pregnant. Okay. So I never could get round 2. And then I haven't stopped being pregnant since then.
Yep.
So
So we got this gel.
So I've just got the gel and the pencil. So that's what I've been dealing with. And I mean, I would like to try microblading again because I think I'm done having kids now. And I have a friend, my line sister has a girl who did her microblading.
I thought you were about to say my friend does it. Don't mess up that friendship.
No, but her friend does it. And so I saw her recently at a dinner, and I thought to myself, I should reach out to her to see. And then I also went to, I got a facial, and I let them do brow tinting.
Okay.
And when they did that, she gave me a serum that I put on my brows every night. And I actually think they've started to grow back. She's taking pictures of them between times that I go back to see. Why are you laughing?
You put on a serum.
Yeah. Because
When do you put it on?
At night, once I take this off.
I just want to see if it looks different the next time I see you.
So anyway, I put the serum on, and we're going to document the progress. But I have noticed a visual difference. Like, my dream, Tamara, is to be able to wake up and go to the store without having to put my brows on.
You better get that tattoo. I'm
you ready?
Now
to see
I think I've seen it because I was like, why does the nail look so sad today? Now I'm about to figure it out. I think I've seen you without these eyebrows.
You probably well, I don't know when you had, because I usually put them on.
Ooh, I think I've seen you without these eyebrows.
Okay, well, you about to see, and I'm gonna leave one on, and I'm gonna keep this one on.
That's gonna look like you're like winking all day.
Oh, and also what I have to do is I have a set of eyebrow pencils at my desk at work, because there has been 1 or 2 occasions where I showed up to work and I look in the mirror like, oh my gosh, I don't have my brows on.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And so I have to
make it work.
Yeah. One time I actually had how I have the extra set is because I came to work and I walked past the mirror in my office and I said, oh my gosh. I said, April, can you go? She had to go give me a brow pencil.
Some foolery.
So I could go, because I had another meeting, and I was like, I cannot go looking like this, because I look unalive.
Well,
so,
I'm glad you're here.
Are you ready to see
I don't know. I think I'm gonna cry. Give me a piece of that tissue, because I might cry if I see you.
And what's so sad is, when I was a little girl, my eyebrows were so thick. I looked like Rudy. My eyebrows were so thick.
Oh my gosh. That is pitiful. Oh my gosh. Look. Let the people see. Oh my god.
You see?
You can draw.
There.
You can really draw. I mean, you can draw. Okay. I'm distracted. Like, I'm almost thinking you're going to have to wipe the other one off.
I do, because now I'm looking imbalanced. But now you got to see how it is when I first wake up. Now you can really see it. You said you can really draw.
You can draw. I'm serious. This is bad. Girl. It wipes off easy, doesn't it?
Yeah, but actually, like, if I'm sweating, it doesn't, it's still, so the product is good, but, whoo, look. It ain't nothing there.
Oh my.
So
You look pretty.
that's how
It's like one of those, would you still be my friend if I don't have eyebrows?
That's what my husband, he'd be
No.
like, oh, look at you, you so cute. And in the mornings, and I don't have this, I'm be like, chill, you lying, because
I'm going to tell you.
I am giving naked mole rat. Go Google naked mole rat.
Those people say, would you be my friend? I'm going to start looking it up. I'm going to start using AI. Would you be my friend if I didn't have a nose? I'm going to have to use AI to see you without a nose. Because I'm going to tell you right now, Danelle, I'm going to have to do this episode by myself if you show up without the pencils. So, anyway.
So,
wow.
moral to the story is, don't be getting your eyebrows unless you had Tamara's jeans. Don't do this, because I'm telling y'all,
gosh.
I have thick eyebrows growing up, but they ain't no more. I have brow alopecia.
Okay, well, it's time to end today's episode. But I just want to thank you all for coming and spending your time with us and hanging out with us and accepting us as we are, with and without eyebrows. I need you to remember that fat is not a feeling and your eyebrows do not define you. So please make sure, if you're on social media, hit us up on Instagram and Facebook at Against My Better Judgment Pod. And if you have a question or a suggestion and you want to know a little bit more about details on how to get these eyebrows, then be sure to email us at againstmybetterjudgmentpod.com. At gmail.com. Thanks for hanging out with us.
And just like that, we've reached the end of season 1 of Against My Better Judgment. Y'all, what a ride. Thank you for listening, laughing, and sharing these stories with us.
But now we want to hear from you. Did you enjoy it? Are there stories you'd love us to tell in season 2? Because we're coming back. We got something new for you. Next season, we're adding a segment called We'll Be the Judge, where we'll take your questions, your scenarios, your what would you do moments, and well, we'll be the judge.
So email us your stories and questions at againstmybetterjudgmentpod@gmail.com. And don't forget to stay connected with us on Instagram at Against My Better Judgment Pod and on Facebook at Against My Better Judgment Pod.
Your feedback, your stories, and your energy will help shape season 2, and we can't wait to bring it to you. See you soon, and remember, this is just the beginning.
Season 1 of Against My Better Judgment podcast was produced by Tamara Galden and Danelle Whiteside. Special thanks to our editor, Josh Bennett, and special thanks to Danelle's brother, David John Walker, for the fabulous logo. See you next season.